Welcome, everyone, to our 2023 Economic Summit. It is so great to see all of you here. It's been 4 years. I'm Mark Duggan, the Trione Director of SIEPR, the Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research, and also the Wayne and Jodi Cooperman Professor of Economics here at Stanford. And I'm just thrilled to welcome you to our first in-person summit since about 4 years ago, 2019. As you know, the pandemic took a big toll on all of us and many others in a multitude of ways, and I want to acknowledge the hardship that many of us have had to endure for the past few years. But it's so great to be here and to look out at all of you, many people who have been connected with SIEPR for a long time, many new friends, and so forth. For us as an organization, one of the biggest challenges of the COVID era was keeping our community of scholars and supporters together. But through a series of virtual events, including 2 online summits in 2021 and 2022, our steady stream of policy briefs, research highlights, and digital outreach, I'd say we did a pretty good job of not just keeping those in our orbit close, but also expanding our reach to new audiences. So whether you're a longtime associate of SIEPR or relative newcomer, thank you so much for being with us here today. Thank you for your engagement, and thank you for supporting our mission of supporting evidence-based economic policy research, sharing it with those whom we know can benefit from it, and preparing the next generation of economic policymakers and scholars for careers and lives that will have a positive impact in the world. At our core, we have more than 100 faculty affiliates, drawing from each of Stanford's 7 schools, and they all bring important perspectives that help us to examine a wide range of economic policy issues. Our research centers on 12 focal areas, including money and finance, energy and the environment, trade, education, health, housing, infrastructure, innovation, work, regulation, and politics. We also attract many of the profession's rising stars through our Young Scholars Program and other academic visitor programs. And we provide many opportunities for undergraduates, predoctoral fellows, and graduate students to work closely with our faculty. We directly engage public servants and journalists with our policy fellows and media fellows programs, as well as through events during the year where we convene the most influential names in business and economic policy. Having emerged from a time of lockdowns, mandatory social distancing, and anxiety over the creation of effective vaccines, we find ourselves today in a very different world. We have a much better understanding today of the vulnerability of our economy to supply chains. We are now experiencing inflation reaching 40-year highs. Organizations and firms are still working their way to the Goldilocks just right sort of hybrid work arrangements. Artificial intelligence is working its way into all facets of our lives, creating many opportunities while also raising some challenges. Around the world, sometimes things can seem a bit grim. We just marked the 1-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Uncertainty around China's next moves has many governments, businesses feeling uneasy. Aging populations are affecting labor markets and national economies here in the US and in other industrialized countries. And natural disasters and climate change provide increasingly serious threats to our lives and those of our children and grandchildren. Despite these challenges, I believe there are bright skies ahead and that SIEPR is well positioned and poised to take on the rest of 2023 and the years ahead with reinvigorated strength and purpose. You'll see evidence of that today as we dedicate our 19th summit to trying to understand and grapple with many of these issues while hearing from people with an ideologically diverse set of perspectives. And while some of these problems may seem intractable or without a fix, our goal here today is to shine the light on how our policymakers, business leaders, and all of us can help pave the way to a brighter future. In just a few minutes, we're going to kick off our day with my Stanford colleague, Condoleezza Rice, who will need no introduction, but I will introduce her shortly. I know that her global perspective will be incredibly illuminating, and it'll set the tone for the rest of the day. And I'm so grateful to her for being here with us today. Following my conversation with Secretary Rice, we will have a panel focused on US-China relations, where things are now, where they are headed, and the key forks in the proverbial road ahead for policymakers. After a 20-minute break, we'll then dive into a discussion about the challenges posed by changing demographics in the US and other industrialized countries and the options for policymakers as we confront this challenge. After lunch, Thomas Barkin, the President and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, will kick our afternoon sessions into high gear with a keynote address at 1:15 p.m. I'm sorry to have learned that Tom needs to attend a funeral of a close friend today, but he is able to join us virtually. And I'm very grateful that he can still be with us despite the circumstances. And we have things set up so that he'll be able to respond to your questions. Following the lunch keynote, we'll hear from a panel on the future of the tech sector, which is an especially timely topic in light of recent layoffs in and declining valuations of many of America's most successful technology-focused companies. Our sustainability and economic policy panel will be our last session of the afternoon, where we'll cover a range of topics on energy and environmental policy in the US and other countries. I'm then really looking forward to connecting with many, hopefully all of you, during our cocktail reception that will start at 4:45 p.m. That's going to be a really enjoyable 90 minutes, giving us plenty of time to reconnect. About halfway through that period, you'll have the option to hear a 20 or so minute performance on the back patio from Talisman, a truly outstanding Stanford student a cappella group that I learned about from one of my undergraduate advisees, Jessica. And you will definitely want to stay for dinner and the keynote address from Larry Summers. Larry is this year's recipient of the SIEPR Prize, which we award each year to an individual who has made important and positive contributions to economic policy. Larry's service leading the Treasury Department in the Clinton administration and leading the National Economic Council during the Obama administration, along with his countless contributions as a scholar and mentor, have made him a well-deserving recipient of this year's prize. All of this great programming today is made possible by so many of you, our community of supporters, and I also want to give an especially big and very special thank you to our corporate sponsor this year, Dodge & Cox. Their support has been instrumental in making this year's summit possible. All of you make an important contribution, not only to this summit, but our many other events that we host throughout the year, but also the research that we foster at SIEPR, our programs for students, and our other activities. And I'm really, really, really grateful for that support. Now, I just want to get a few logistics out before we get started. We're covering a lot of ground, and you can help us by making sure each session starts on time. A full agenda, along with speaker bios, are in the booklets that you received at your registration table. We have a full and exciting day ahead, and if your dinner plans have changed, please let our registration staff know. Our staff can help you with that. And restrooms, if you need them, are right outside here, or you can go further down the hall. We have outlets available for charging devices, and our staff is easily available outside by the registration area if you have questions or concerns. They can also direct you to quiet spaces if you need to take a quick meeting, make a phone call, or need to get something done during the day. We are recording most of the sessions here today, and these videos and summaries of the sessions will be available through the SIEPR website in the coming week at siepr.stanford.edu. We'll also be sending that event coverage information to you in about a week, along with a survey about the event. Please take a few minutes to fill that out so that we can get your feedback on how to make this event even better. Thanks again so much to all of our speakers and panelists. We have, across our 7 sessions today, we have a total of 20 people, speakers and moderators. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to SIEPR staff for all of their incredibly hard work in making this event happen today. Can we give a thank you to all of them?